Yeah, I was supposed to go live like hours ago. There was a lot of stuff going on, but I'm glad I didn't. Did a lot of research on this Brock Jarvis and Keith Thurman fight. I think it's gonna be a very good fight, to be honest with you. Just the style matchups, but both of these guys are naturally smaller. I haven't seen Keith Thurman in the ring in a while. Give him a chance to knock off some rust. But this guy Brock Jarvis, what I've noticed about him is probably 4 or 5 years ago, this guy was like 125 or something. This dude went from like 125 to 140 in like 2 years. And he was already like a 115 before that. That's insane. That's insane. I don't know if he was trying to be great, chase greatness, or just the weight was catching up to him, or he was just growing exponentially at that time. But that's a lot of weight at one time. That's a lot of weight. I was trying to figure out, like, man, why this guy was having so much trouble making that jump, but that's a jump you don't really see in boxing with a guy jumping that many pounds. But I think this is gonna be a good matchup. Keith Thurman needs a fight like this. He already has Australian fans clamoring to see him since the fight with Tim Tszyu got canceled. So I definitely think this is going to be a good matchup. They got a lot of good fights they're putting together. And this fight's coming up next week. You know, it's coming up pretty fast. And I didn't really pay much attention to it at first about how close it was, but we got a lot of fights popping up over the next couple of weeks. And this is going to be one of them. But, man, he's a good fighter, though, man. Still a good fighter. Still one of the best of the era, but in his weight class, welterweight. I think he's moving up to 54 for this fight. That's gonna be still another jump for Jarvis, cause you know Brock Jarvis is, like I said, he's naturally a smaller guy. He's definitely naturally a smaller guy, but I think he's gonna bring a lot to the table. I think he will. Highly doubt he goes in there and just lays down. Highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. Now him getting dropped by Paro like he did, I mean, that's not a huge surprise when you really look at how much weight he jumped up. I can't say that enough. The dude jumped a lot of weight classes to get to where he's at right now. To be honest with you, I almost can't believe it the way he jumped those weight classes. Oh yeah, that fight's gonna be in the middle of the week next week. Okay. Oh, so March 12th, this fight is gonna be coming up between Brock Jarvis and Keith Thurman. Yeah, that's gonna be good. You know, right now, that's the thing that people are gonna be thinking about is, can Brock Jarvis take a punch? As far as I know, yeah, dude can take down a punch. He can take a punch. To be honest with you, I honestly think he can take a punch. Definitely think so. It's just that when he, at the time, he couldn't take a punch from Paro. I don't think many people would have been able to take a punch at that time. To be honest, I don't think many people could have took a punch around that time. And Paro was on fire, you know, as you can see from, and he still is. Shoot, Paro looked good in the last fight, even though he lost. Still did a decent job. I seen the work he was doing in the fight, so I'm not. Trust me. I know what he was doing. But this is gonna be a very good matchup, man. A very good one. Just need to see what Brock Jarvis is. You know, some guys show up in certain fights, especially when you get a second chance. You want to let it be known that, hey, I'm a highly capable opponent for anybody. We've seen that recently with a lot of guys. Just depend on if everything works out perfectly, or you're in that perfect moment, you can make something happen. You can definitely make something happen. Yeah, but it's been a while since Keith Thurman been in the ring too. He needs to fight a guy like Jarvis. And Jarvis right now needs to fight a guy like him. He could have fought somebody domestically, you know, around that area where he's at, but I think this fight is a lot better for both of these guys. That's why I wasn't too, you know, upset about the matchup when it got announced. I was pretty much okay with a lot of these matchups. It's just that, in my mind, could they have been a couple of years earlier? Yeah. Especially with Keith Thurman. I felt like him being inactive, even though he's been in big time events over the years, him being inactive that's crazy. You can't grow the sport like that. Especially when you got a star like him that was in his prime, then he sits out most of his good years, his best years, or years he still could have flourished at. Yeah, it's a bad look when you really think about it. That's the one thing I don't like. That a lot of guys are sitting out their best years. And the way that Keith, he look like he's motivated. Definitely looks like he's motivated. This is a fight that's coming on March 21st. I mean March 12th, which is in a couple of days, and 5 days from now. And I'm definitely gonna be tuned in and ready to watch this. A long time. It said reconnecting. I don't know why they keep telling me that. Let me try something real quick. But yeah, you can't overlook a fight like that, though, to be honest with you. Because this guy goes out there and shows up, everybody's going to have something to say. He goes out there and show up, everybody's going to have something to say. It's definitely not going to be nice out there. And he's been out for a while. But if he can go out there and use his speed, I hope he don't rely on his power. The thing that's going to hurt Keith Thurman is stamina. The stamina is definitely going to be an issue. It always has. But not to the point where he was just a terrible fighter, but it did affect him And so a lot of it has to do with this activity of being out, being spotty in most cases. But the guy Jarvis, 27 now, 5'9". Keith Thurman is slightly taller, reaches are slightly longer. Yeah, like I said, Jarvis he was jumping up in weight, man. This dude went from 125, and this was during COVID too. So this dude went from like 125 to 140 during that time. I know that affected his whole career in a negative way, because to jump up that much weight is extreme. That's a lot of weight to be jumping. But I think he's smarter now. He's not gonna go in there and try to be super aggressive early, but he's gonna try to hold his own. But if I was him, I definitely wouldn't try to go in there super aggressive. But Thurman, he's looking at the whole situation. He sees that Brock's been knocked out before by Liam Paro, first round. In his mind, he's thinking, I'm getting this guy up out of here. But what he don't realize is, what if you don't? What if you gas out trying to get him up out of there, thinking that you have the capabilities to get him up out of there, but you don't realize that you haven't been in the ring that long, and you don't feel the same as you used to, and it's gonna take a little while to get out of the mud, and you're stuck in quicksand a little bit. So I think things like that can be a problem, but that's what's going to make the fight interesting. Because everybody's going to look at Brock Jarvis' situation and say, well, he doesn't have enough experience and he's been knocked out. Trust me, the experience is getting knocked out sometimes. Fighting a guy who defeated Matias in your first fight at 140 and getting caught with a big shot. I don't know how embarrassed you should be about that. If you get caught with a big shot from a guy like Paro, who stopped a few guys. He stopped Montana Love. He stopped a couple of guys now. He's been on the run before they hit his fight. Even in that fight, he had some spots where he looked good. Yeah, he looked good in a lot of those fights. So it wasn't like he wasn't on fire around that time. And Jarvis was a guy he's only 27 right now. So he was 24 around that time. I wouldn't say he was green, but yeah, he was green. For 140, he was green. He was green. That's a lot of weight he done jumped up from 115 to, I guess this fight's going to be at 54. Man, that's a lot of weight. Yeah, hopefully the weight is not an issue, because, man, you talking about a guy. And he's moving up against stoppages, against, guys who's gotten stopped before. Yeah, stopping Adrian Gonzalez was big, though. I don't know if everybody know it. Adrian Rodriguez, my bad, out of Australia. That he has a lot of losses, but one thing I remember about him is he wasn't stopped that much. But that Mitchell Leak fight must have took everything he had out of him. Because he's got stopped his last two fights, and he's never been stopped before. Up until that point. Yeah, I saw that Mitchell Lee fight. Who car was that on? Yeah, that's when Rise Evans and that. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that was a bad situation. But for Jarvis to get that stoppage, that was good. Confidence booster. Definitely a big confidence booster. Maybe he's coming to his own. Who knows? Who knows? You know, you can never tell in a certain situation. A lot of people think they can tell when people are coming to their own in certain situations, but like I said, as we seen last week, I'm gonna look at some more things, but I've been impressed by what I've seen from Jarvis. He's not a extremely talented fighter, like super elite, but he's a lot better than what they'll give him credit for. Definitely is. Got some pop. I think he needs to be a little more assertive and accurate. I would like to see that. I also would like to see him out jab a guy like Keith Thurman. Definitely don't want to see him get in a situation where. But if Keith Thurman's popping a jab, I don't like the high guard from Jarvis, because even though he puts it up there, he still, guys go right through the guard and catch him. So sometimes it's not really that big of a deal for him to put that guard up. He gets caught regardless. He'll put that guard up and still get punched. That's the crazy part. Dude will still get punched when he puts the guard up. And hesitant. But like I said, the dude he has been jumping weight classes for a while, and I don't know what the adjustment period would be, but it's gonna take a while for him to adjust. And maybe this might be the fight where he adjusts it. This could be the one where he adjusts. This could be the one. I don't think people need to overlook that. But I will have a problem with his counterpunching. Yeah, I definitely have a problem with counterpunching. Got to see how that actually goes. I heard he said, Keith Thurman ain't got no feet or something. His legs up under him. He is getting older, so I don't know what his legs are like. That actually was a good point. But I think a lot of times he's flat-footed, and he loads up on shots a lot of times. Jeez. Brock, he loads up on shots a lot. He loads up on shots way too much. If he keeps doing that, it's going to come back and hunt him, especially in this fight. I'm just hoping he don't load up on shots. That's kind of all only. That's only where my mind is right now. I'm like, okay, I hope he doesn't load up on these shots, and I hope he takes these opponents serious. Because at that weight class, you just can't walk through anybody. And he doesn't have a lot of experience of actually doing that. And the people he's fought are not the same as a Keith Thurman. So this is gonna be a good test though to see what level that a guy like Zarafar is actually at. Not Zarafar, but Brock. Cause I'm thinking about Zarafar because I'm like, man, maybe could have put a Zarafar in there, but I know he's touching 60 sometimes. But yeah, man, Brock is just only thing I'm worried about with him is being used to take these shots. Man, he's taking a lot of big shots. And it's not because he's a terrible fighter or anything, but I would like to see him being more aggressive. Good left hook by Brock, but I would like to see him being more aggressive. Him on the back foot is a bad recipe for anything. Yeah, him on the back foot is definitely not a good look. I hope it improves though. I'm gonna drop my thing. I hope it improves because that defense is what's worrying me right now. And I would say it's more so how he moves than I'm concerned about the chin. You can be concerned about anybody's chin who got knocked down or knocked out before. So with me, it's not the chin I'm just worried about. It's that defense, that hand placement, no head movement, flat footed, just go straight back. Even when he puts the guard up, still getting punched. When a guy slows down from throwing all his punches out, when a guy gasses out from trying to get the knockout on Jarvis, that's when he usually will try to be assertive, but he's not. I wish he'll be a better counterpuncher. That's the issue that's gonna be a problem. You can't change the way a fighter is. So the only thing I can see him doing is, like I said, being accurate, being assertive, and making guys work. Take their best shot and try to see how it is in deep waters. I don't think he has a stamina issue from what I've seen. You know, everybody does. Stamina will get affected after eight or 9 rounds. That's just natural. Fighting for 20, 30 minutes is without heavy breathing. That's elite level stuff. So, of course, not everybody around the world is walking around doing that. Yeah, not everybody's walking around doing that. That's definitely not happening. But yeah, Keith Thurman is trying to move back into things. I know that they're trying to line something back up with something. Yeah, that's definitely something you can see. But I think, like I said, it's a perfect scenario for both guys. I like that Jarvis been putting on size recently though. It's not as small as he used to be. But yeah, I don't know if people know it. He was a small guy recently. What weight class is that he's at in this recent fight I saw? Oh, what's going on, Nectar of Gods? I just seen you. You said if the old Thurman shows up, he would easily outbox Brock, but if Thurman has slowed down too much, and if he turns into a slugger, Brock might cause an upset. That boy got some power. Yeah, Brock does have some power. And I like his stamina over Thurman. I like his stamina too. And you know, Thurman can be flat footed at times too as well. Standing straight up, no head movement. So the crazy thing is, and you know, Thurman has the same kind of issues as a Brock Jarvis. I wouldn't say as far as the like chin. I don't want to say Jarvis has chin issues because you know he was a smaller guy moving up. So I'm not gonna just say he got chin issues, but because he leaves his chin in the air, that's more of a problem than him having a weak chin. Is that his chin is usually straight in the air. Um, but I would say in Keith Thurman's position, he's had some issues with body shots as well. He's had some issues with body shots as well. I don't think he has a strong core. You can tell by looking at Brock Jarvis, he has a strong core. And I know a lot of people say you don't have to have muscles in boxing and everything else. Yeah, but still helps you take shots a lot better. That's why you see guys in the 90s starting to be in a different form. It was a lot better. Yeah, you seen guys in the 90s had better form. But this is gonna be a very good fight, man. I think it is. I didn't realize it was like 5 days away. I'm thinking it's like next weekend or something. But yeah, Brock definitely has power. He surprised me with that. Definitely has some power. Yeah, but I don't know if we're gonna get the old Thurman though. I think, and if you're Keith Thurman, and let's just say you got a big fight coming up next, I wouldn't go in there and try to get Brock out of it in the first round. Even though you don't want to play with somebody in the fight, you don't want to go into your next fight, and you've only fought what, one round the last 2 or 3 years. Nah, you don't want to do that. That'll be a terrible look. And then what's crazy is when Brock is confident and counterpunching and dropping his head and bending his knees, he can catch a lot of guys counterpunching. But it just got to be the fear factor. He got to believe in himself a little bit more. Even if he comes out of this next fight with a loss, he can do some things where he could be a household name. You know, to be honest with you, because he's still, you know, his body's still maturing. Guys getting stronger too, a lot bigger. You can still see that he's learning a lot of things. Has a decent jab. Like I said, his left hook is good. Right hook and right hand is good as well, but has a decent jab though. If he improves on his jab a little bit more, yeah, he's gonna be right where he needs to be. Yeah, he's gonna be definitely where he needs to be. Oh yeah, anybody who comes through, hit the like button as you come in, cause it's not gonna be many people discussing these matchups. He said, Nectar God said nerves will definitely play a part for Jarvis. He ain't never fought anyone of this caliber. Yeah, that's true. I agree with that. But sometimes, these guys, and I think most of the time, even in a Paro fight, I can't really understand where his mind was, but I think in that fight, just the size was outrageous when you really look at how many pounds he added. Jarvis just started out as a small guy, very small. So for him to be fighting a guy like Keith Thurman at this point, yeah, he doesn't seem too nervous as far as leading up to the fight. Sometimes, like I said, man, a guy getting knocked out like that, it makes you look at boxing totally different after you get knocked out. But from what I've seen, Jarvis, he needs to just be a little more sharper. Once he see these guys slow down, he starts to press a little bit more. But I think early on, if I was him, I would zigzag a little bit. Like I said, he moves straight back, and that's a bad thing. You can get knocked out easy like that. Because all you got to do as a boxer, when a guy's hand's already down, you just got to swing hard as you can when you got a guy who's going straight back. And I would like to see him go to the body. I'm telling you, if Rock Jarvis goes out there and has a game plan focused around some body shots and wearing out Keith Thurman's legs, he would definitely make a statement. If he wears out Keith Thurman's legs and he goes out there and throws some body shots, that would be the worst recipe that Keith Thurman could have. That's what I would do if I was Brock. I'll move around the first 4 or 5 rounds. Every chance I get, I'll try to get some body shots in, make him use his legs. Then around 5 or 6, he should be slowed down. Because any boxer, especially an older guy, once you slow them down, if you're not as talented as they are, the stamina, it makes a guy look so normal that you're not gonna have to worry about the talent discrepancy. That's one thing they don't have to worry about. The talent is gonna be on full display. It's not gonna be an issue. But you gotta wear these fighters down though. You can't have a guy just readjusting and recovering. But one thing I have seen from Brock, if a guy is trying to recover or take a round off, he presses. Yeah, he presses, which is a good thing. Like he looked good in the Penny Morgan fight, even though Penny Morgan's a smaller fighter, like 2 inches smaller. But from what I seen, the dude was game though. But the Adrian Rodriguez, that definitely was a big statement for him, even though the guy had, took a loss before that. Knockout, easy fight to have. That's somebody I know. You really know the history of Brock Jarvis. That guy's not gonna go in there and fight the same way he has in the. He tried to basically go in there and slug it out with guys in the past bad, especially a knockout. He needs a statement win bad. I like the size that Jarvis was at his last fight, but his jab looks naturally more. His jab looks naturally more fluid, If he can go in there and be able to jab Keith Thurman, throw some 1-2s, he'll be on point. Because I don't know if Keith Thurman's gonna go in there and just strictly rely on the jab. I know he's gonna be loading up on some shots. Cause he knows the clock. The longer the clock ticks, the harder the fight gonna get for Thurman. He can go the distance now. Like, it's not to kid ourselves. But Jarvis is strong enough to where he can go to the body, and like I said, he can have an upset. That'll be the biggest upset that Australia's had since what? Costa-Zoo and Judah. That'll be the biggest upset since then. So it's a lot riding on this. You know, Keith Thurman go take a loss to Jarvis right now. Wow. Maybe that's the type of fight that keeps you out of Hall of Fame. And if Jarvis goes and do that, that'll be the biggest. No, that might be the biggest win since Jeff Horn and Pacquiao. I'll take that back. Yeah, but like I said, though, I don't like when Jarvis leaves his chin in the air. He does so well that he get caught on the chin. Even in the Rodriguez fight, in the first round, he had Rodriguez on the ropes well, and he just stands straight up and leaves his chin open, and Rodriguez throws a quick uppercut and slows Jarvis down, and Jarvis waits to throw a punch for another 10 or 15 seconds. Can't really do that. You can probably get away with it with Thurman at certain points, but the dude still has extreme power. He hasn't had a knockout in a while, but he still has extreme power, though. That power will show up on a good day. And to be honest, the way that Keith Thurman is looking, the way he's motivated right now, he's gonna be dangerous. I'm not gonna lie, he's gonna be dangerous. But I like how calm Brock is and everything else. I heard that one of his trainers might not be working with him this fight. I don't know what that issue is going to be. Yeah, the trainer that was working with him in the corner for the Adrian Rodriguez fight, he's not doing this fight. So this is gonna be it's gonna be a new situation. But yeah, man, I hope Jarvis don't go out here and leave his chin in the air though. That's gonna be a big mistake. And don't let this guy trick you into being aggressive. Definitely don't let this guy trick you into being aggressive. And then, isn't Scott Nicholson fighting? When is that fight? Because I have a lot of dates and stuff going on in my mind right now. Okay, Scott Nicholson is fighting in a couple of weeks on the Cambosis card. I don't know why. I almost thought that Scott Nicholson was fighting on this card. I'm like, nah, can't be. But yeah, Australia's gonna have some good fights going on. I'm actually looking forward to the Jordan and Cambosis fight as well. I think the Jordan fight Cambosis is very underrated. And Jordan said he's going for a knockout. He said Jeff Phoenix. I don't know how to say his last name. Not sure what happened there. Yeah, me either. The video just came out, I want to say a couple of minutes ago. When Jeff was talking about he's not gonna be in the corner. I'm like, what's that about? I was gonna watch it before I got on here, but I've already been waiting so long to actually talk about these fights. I just went ahead and proceeded, but yeah, for Jeff not to be in the corner, that's gonna be a bad look. Yeah, Scott Nicholson versus Tierra Brown. Scott Nicholson, I have as a top fighter right now, to be honest with you. I think I have Scott Nicholson over. I don't know. It's just my gut feeling. I don't know why, but to be honest with you, Scott Nicholson has to take. That's why I rank her so high right now. Like the Raven Chapman fight, this fight, she doesn't really have to take these fights. So she's one of my favorite fighters right now. One of the best fighters out of Australia. She definitely didn't have to take this fight. Oh, Phoenix, okay. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I just seen a video of him actually talking about not being in the corner for the fight. And that just kind of surprised me a little bit. Because you would think, okay, this guy's a high level trainer. It's not gonna be too many issues out of him. And he is a high level trainer, but yeah, that's great. Is that he explained why he won't train him? Well, this is a couple of days before the fight. I would say less than a week. So he doesn't have to explain anything because it's not gonna happen now. Are they gonna let me screenshot it? Yeah, it's on Jay McAllister's page. Yeah, this is on Jay McAllister's page. Good style matchup too. Good style matchup too. Looking at something else, but yeah, this video right here. I don't know what's going on. Trying to expand it real quick. Yeah, I don't know why he says he won't train Brock. I'll look at that video later. Will it affect him? I don't think. Whatever he knows now, he's gonna have to go into this fight and use it to the best of his ability. Kind of worried he's coming off a 6-round fight. Like I said, his stamina's good though. Not too worried about Brock's stamina. I like the jab that he's starting to jab a lot more, starting to mature, starting to understand how important the jab is. Don't like him dropping his hands a lot. Like his right hand getting dropped a lot, and then his opponent opens up. It's gonna be some opportunities he'll be able to take. But yeah, in a fight with Keith Thurman, I would like to see him move more. You can't teach anybody new things after one fight, but I want to see him do a lot of different things though. Just move his legs and be accurate. That's not asking too much from a guy who needs to do that to win a fight. He said Fennec had 2 massive fights with Zuma Nelson back in the late 80s on Mike Tyson's undercard. Yeah, a lot of these trainers like Fennec who ex-fighters and you got a lot of good trainers in boxing right now, to be honest with you. You got a lot of good trainers in boxing. Lately, I've ran across more fighters who don't listen than actually trainers who give out bad instructions. A lot of guys I've been impressed with a lot of the training that's been going on over the last 5 years. Yeah, I've definitely been impressed. I wonder who the guy is that's going to be testing. I mean, who's going to be training Jarvis? Might need to, I mean, I might need to look at that real quick. Maybe I'll do it after I get off of here. Yeah, I would definitely like to find out who's actually going to be training him. But he can't fight lazy in this fight though. He really can't fight lazy. I know he's a guy who's smaller and he's put on a lot of weight, so it made him slow down, and he's carrying a lot more weight than he's used to carrying most of his life. Uh, but what I will say is, like I said, I like the Brock Jarvis jabbing a lot more since the Paro fight. I like the combinations. For some reason, he doesn't look as in shape as he did the fight before that. But maybe it's because he's put on a little bit more weight and he's just carrying it a certain way. But he got to have more steam on his punches. Phoenix looked like he's doing a good job too in this fight with Rodriguez, but do they have some things where, you know, a lot of times I've seen recently, a lot of these promoters and their teams and everyone else, they will lean towards a different voice when for certain fights are coming up. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But man, I don't like fighters switching trainers before certain matchups, because if it goes wrong, if it's bad, then yeah, if it goes well, he's not gonna get that much blame. But he definitely has a lot riding on this. You say he's the best fighter from Australia? Yeah, I was looking up some guys from the 80s. Jarvis' dad is his trainer. He played rugby, not a boxer. This decision baffles me, to be honest. Yeah, uh, I've seen that a couple times in the past where some guys have used their father, then use another trainer, then they use their father. A lot of times it doesn't go well. Yeah, it does baffle me because he looks better in the Rodriguez fight. Like you could tell that Phoenix was actually getting him to do things to improve him, like his body shots, the jab, the uppercuts. You know, Jarvis was definitely improving after one fight. And you got to think about it. He's moving up a lot of weight classes. He's slipping punches, moving. Yeah, he's doing a lot of good things in that last Rodriguez fight. And the thing about what he was doing in the Rodriguez fight that was good was he was still going to the body. He wasn't trying to knock him out to the head. Man, I can't believe it. Man, I can't believe he ain't using Phoenix for this fight. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, I didn't know his dad was training him for this fight. That makes sense though. A big fight like this, his dad is gonna be like, well, you know, I've been around all this time and I don't want anybody to mess this opportunity up for him. You know, guys start to get real. Sometimes, like I said, the parents are more nervous than the actual, like the trainer father is sometimes more nervous than the actual son, the boxer. Sometimes they're a lot more nervous because, yeah, to get a stoppage over Adrian Rodriguez recently, and he looked good doing it. And to step in this situation and say, you know, I'm gonna switch it out. I don't think it's good. We shall see though. If it works out, then he'll look like a genius. If he doesn't, it's gonna be a lot of criticism. You might hear something even during the fight where they say, "I can't believe he didn't actually go with Phoenix in this fight." Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That kind of took some hope away from me as far as what Jarvis is going to do in this fight. I took some hope away a little bit. But you never know, though. You know, the boxer still has to go out there and improve himself. And also, I can say this. Jarvis is in a perfect position. He's fighting a guy who's naturally the same size as him. Because Keith Thurman has always been a small 147. So for him, I guess they're fighting at 54. He's gonna be small at that weight class. He's not a big guy. You know, when you see their face-offs, even on this picture behind. What's going on, Mehmet? What's going on, man? You doing all right? Yeah, even on this picture right here, you can tell, you know, Brock looks like a bigger guy right here. They were, what, a week away from the fight? He looks bigger than Keith Thurman. But what I'm going to be worried about from Brock is, can he get lower than Keith Thurman? I don't think Brock getting hit on the forehead or the side of the temple is the issue. I'm more so worried about him getting hit around the neck, lower chin area, the back of the jaw. Because like I said, he's a naturally smaller guy. This will be the hardest puncher he's been in the ring with. I want to see him roll a couple of these punches. And he was slipping very well recently. So I would like to see him do that as well. But if he goes in there and throws combinations with Keith Thurman, I'm not going to have a lot of confidence in that. Yeah, I'm not going to have a lot of confidence in that. I don't think so. But we'll see. It's definitely something to actually think about. But how long? Let me go look at this real quick. Because to be honest with you, I'm kind of forgetting how long it's actually been since Keith Thurman fought. I knew when the Tim Tszyu fight was coming up. Yeah, it's been 3 years. That's why I said 2. Last year was 2 when he was going to fight Tim Tszyu. Now it's 3 years. 3 years is a long time to take off. And what, Keith Thurman is like 36? Man, that's a long time to take off. He has fought Barrio since he was 33. So he's fought once at 30, once at 33, and then once at 36. It's not good. That's definitely not good. And I want to see something else from Keith Thurman. I want to see his comfy box. I haven't looked at how his punch output is in his last couple of fights. Let's see if they'll give me just one comfy box to actually look at. He said, what's your opinion of the future of the sport? Do you think it becomes a league like the NFL, NBA, MLB? That's what Turkey wants to do, I think. Yeah, it's gonna be like that. It's gonna be, I mean, the UFC is like that right now. It's gonna be something similar to like the UFC. I don't think Turkey's gonna have too much say so over that. I think he's gonna fund the situation, but I think he's gonna give Dana White a lot more freedom than he does the other promoters. I'll just say that. I think it's gonna give him a lot more freedom. Dana White has history of actually performing well against these guys. That's one thing people have to realize. Dana White has history, you know, putting together these events, just like in UFC. I think, didn't UFC have an event in Australia recently? I was just watching. So Dana White has history, man, going to each country, putting on a good event, knowing where to have the weigh-ins at. You know, it's never really any issues. So I think the way Turkey's looking at it, I was actually supposed to do a live on that next, but I might have to wait till tomorrow. Yeah, so a lot of these promoters right now, they're kind of you know, I can't say too much because I don't want to sit up here and get in trouble. You know, people are serious right now. But how can I say this? Yeah, I mean, the league thing is gonna be good, you know. It's gonna be good because more fighters need to get in. Like I said, a guy like Brock Jarvis, he can be an option to be in the league. Nikita Zoo is not really fighting in different countries yet. He could be a guy. Depending on how the other guys look. Like a Mitchell Leak or something, he could possibly be in there. So it can be a couple of guys that's kind of squeak through and actually be in the league. That's why I think the league will be good, because it wouldn't have to just be focused on big name guys. Turkey Al-Sheikh events are good right now, but it's top heavy as far as the middle grade guys and lower grade. They need somewhere to kind of develop. And I think that's going to help out a lot. But one thing promoters are going to have to do is they're going to have to compete a lot more. And I heard people saying things about the payments as far as Dana White doesn't pay people in UFC. If he's working with Turkey Al-Sheikh, I don't think he's going to be directly the one that pays. So that's kind of the reason why he's getting in boxing. So he doesn't have to be the one that actually has to compete with other promoters as far as, do I have to overpay for this to have this guy come over here? He said boxers aren't going to go from being underpaid like UFC fighters. That won't last long, in my opinion. I mean, boxers are already underpaid. You know what I'm saying? Boxers right now are fighting for the same thing as UFC fighters. I know a lot of people are thinking about the top guys in the boxing industry, but most guys is fighting what, for 20,000, 25, 50,000. It's not too much. It's not too much money flowing in boxing as far as, if you're a top guy in boxing, yeah, you're getting paid. If you're a Tyson Fury or, but if you're a Brock Jarvis, you're not getting $2 million right now. So I think that's what that league is going to benefit those type of guys. It's going to have some big names on there too. It's going to be some big names floating out there, as we've seen. It's going to be some big names out there. It's always going to be a guy that can float around. It could be another Jeff Horn that pops up. And that's the type of fighters I think Dana White's going to be looking towards. Guys like that. He does the same thing in UFC. Yeah, he does exactly the same thing. But it's gonna be a good operation. It's gonna put pressure on a lot of the promoters too. It's gonna put a lot of pressure on them because they have to. Because once Dana White puts out a schedule, or he starts setting up fights, he's not the type of guy that's gonna figure out like, oh, are you available for this fight? If you're not available, he's just gonna move on to somebody else. And move on, and there's enough talent in boxing where you don't have to have a superstar on every card. You can have a card where it's just like mid-level guys that fans want to see fight. There's a lot of fighters we want to see that only fight like once or twice. So I think that'll definitely help out that. But it's gonna put a lot of pressure on it. I don't think Dana White's gonna be in the same position as. That's why he's signing something separate from what Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn, and all these other guys are doing. I mean, if he wanted to do the same thing they were doing, he would just, kind of join them instead of starting his own league. But he wants to do his own thing, which I wouldn't. I would kind of want to do the same thing as well if I have the opportunity to. But yeah, I'm gonna break that down a lot more tomorrow. I'm probably record it and then release it because I gotta figure out what I actually gonna say on it. You said if it's a low level league, if it's big names. Oh no, it's gonna be lower level and big names. It's gonna be lower level and big names. Dana White, he's dealt with lower level and big names his whole career, so that's not gonna be a problem. He's dealt with more big names than these boxing promoters. We know a lot of these fighters as far as in boxing, and a lot of these guys make money. They just started making a lot of money with Turkey too. Not everybody has been making a lot of money, but as far as UFC fighters, you can say that a lot of these UFC fighters are just as popular as a boxer is. So I don't think he's gonna have any problems with the diva mentality or guys acting a certain way. Yeah, I don't think he will. I think they have a good idea though. They already have. Trust me, from what I've seen from boxing promoters recently, they don't mess around with these guys. Yeah, from what I've seen from boxing promoters recently, they don't really mess around with these guys. They don't play around. Yeah, they don't mess around. Because, even right now, at this time, they're getting rid of a lot of boxers that's on the national team. A lot of these promoters, they switch boxers They switch a lot of boxers every year. It happens a lot more than you actually think. Yeah, appreciate everybody for hitting the like button coming through as well. Yeah, but I know what you guys saying because I already thought about it. I was like, man, how is he gonna make these fights? These guys are not gonna go for this. They're not gonna take the low level money. I'm like, they're not finna go out here and just fight anytime. Cause I've seen Dana White come to somebody like, hey, we got a fight in 2 weeks. You wanna fight? That might work though, guys might be ready. We seen that happen with Turkey Al-Sheikh, so it might work out. It might work out. But what I love about the Australian boxing right now is the women's boxing as well. I'm telling you. From what I've seen, they're probably gonna have one of the best fights of the month. I'm gonna make a prediction to say right now, the best fight of the month of March is gonna come from a women's fight. It's either gonna be tomorrow. It could be on the Kambosos card with Sky Nicholson, or it can be the Michaela Mayer and Sandy Ryan fight. But it's gonna be a female fight that's gonna be one of the best of the month. They're actually fighting the best right now. So actually, all the guys will have to do, all the male fighters will have to do is the same thing the girls are doing, because they're not really making it too difficult when they're putting these fights together. And they're trying to make more money as well. And they're not fighting that much. We have a lot of fighters. There's a lot of female fighters that have like 8 fights, 10 fights. So I think Dana White, he can definitely get in the mix and attract a lot of those boxers. He can get female boxers right now, some of the top fighters, and pay them, and they'll probably make more than what they've been making. And that's another thing too. If people don't want to get certain boxers, like female boxers or lower level guys, he'll go ahead and get them. And that's the good thing. That's the good thing. But I have seen some matchups that they have coming up as far as with the females. I know Green and Crews was talking about fighting again. I would definitely like to see that. But I'm very interested in seeing what Scott Nicholson's going to do. I think if Green and Crews will fight this year again, and then you have Scott Nicholson and Tierra Brown fight, this might be a better year for women's boxing than male boxing. Even though male boxing is at an all-time level right now. Even though male boxing is at an all-time level right now. And also, this is a big month for Australia because you got Keith Thurman fighting in a couple days, or a few days. And then you have Kambosos fighting Jordan. Then you have Scott Nicholson as the main event. Co-main event. That should have been a main event. That could have been a main event. And Scott Nicholson's taking one of the toughest fights in boxing right now, male or female. If she goes out there and dominates this fight, I don't know who's the biggest. I know Tim Tszyu is probably biggest name over there right now. You got Connor Wallace as far as the males. But as far as the female fighters, I don't know. Even over the female fighters, she might be the biggest name if she goes out there and wins her next fight and dominates. Her last two fights have been tough. Her last two fights have been tough. That's why a lot of people were surprised I put her on the Fighter of the Year list last year. After that Raven Chapman fight, and then her accepting this Tierra Brown fight, I'm definitely putting her on gonna put her on the Fighter of the Year list because she's doing everything I want the women fighters to do. Because it's a lot of female fighters that's taking like 2 or 3 fights. And who belt does Nicholson have? She picked up somebody else's belt. Who belt is that? Is that Amanda Serrano's belt? They're trying to use this rematch. Oh, like, yeah, we got a rematch. And I'm like, man, if you lost 2 fights in a row, it's time to hang it up. Oh, yeah, Scott Nicholson said Amanda Serrano would never fight me. Yeah, that's the fight I wanted to see. I don't want to be messy or nothing, but at this point, it looks like she's ducking her, man. She looks like she's ducking her. I mean, at a certain point when this look like a complete duck, I ain't gonna lie to you. Because at this point, I think Scott Nicholson beats her. After what I've seen recently. But yeah, this right here is a travesty though. A lot of people say, oh man, the last fight was so good. It would be even better if she was to go out there and fight Scott Nicholson. That would be excellent. If she can go out there and fight her, that would be an excellent fight right now. I know Amanda ain't trying to wait till she's 40 years old. But I'm going to be honest with you. Scott Nicholson's going to be better than probably her and Katie Taylor. From what I've seen. And that's not because I like her that much or anything. She's fighting the best. She's fighting the best. She's fighting the best fighters right now. The same fighters that Amanda Serrano didn't fight. The same fighters that Katie Taylor ain't fighting, she's gonna fight. Mark my words. You said, yeah, it's late. I'm surprised you're on. Oh yeah. I'm yeah, Mimic. I had just got on here to talk about this fight. Yeah, I do this every once in a while. I'll jump on late or whatever. I was on the other YouTube channel I had, and then I kind of study UFC around this time. So yeah, man, I had just got on here to chop it up a little bit. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a while, man. I didn't know if you be up around this time. I know people be in different time zones. But yeah, I was just I was supposed to come on like earlier, but I didn't. Then I had to research all this stuff and figure some things out. But yeah, they're actually trying to, I would have liked to see Sky Nicholson fight one of those fighters though. She said, not confident it ever happens. Definitely not gonna happen. Not at this point. Not at this point. That's why I give the fighters who actually get in the ring and fight the best, you gotta give them credit. Especially the female fighters. You only got, 8 fights? You putting your whole career on the line? That's a big risk to take. Yeah, it's a big risk to take, man. You just can't go out there. Oh, you out late from work? Okay. Okay, yeah, around midnight. All right, that's cool, man. I appreciate you coming through. You and Nectar of Gods. I wonder if Turkey signed the women too. Yeah, Sky Nicholson actually was Turkey's first fight. She's a Riyadh season fighter. I guess Raven Chapman would be considered in that area as well. I don't think Katie Taylor and Serrano is. They're doing the whole Netflix thing right now, so they're not really involved. But yeah, he's definitely has. Yeah, he had that women's fight on the what card was that? With the Joshua? I don't know why on that Joshua card. I can't remember who fought on that card. It was either the it was the Bitter Biv and Bivol card, I think. It was one of those cards, Bitter Biv and Bivol, or the Joshua card. But I want to say it was Bitter Biv and Bivol though. I don't know. I can actually look it up though. But yeah, that was the first fight he had. I know not Amanda Serrano, but Carissa Shields was actually supposed to go out there recently and try to talk to Turkey about some things, but then they had the whole situation. They had the whole situation talking about Carissa Shields and the marijuana thing. So she had to go back and figure that out. Like, what are they talking about that for? Yeah, this was on the Bitter Biv and Bivol card when she fought Chapman. It's a good fight too. Very good fight. She showed up. Yeah, it was on the that was a good fight card. Yeah, that was his first fight. I was hoping. So hopefully he can get Avatar back in the mix in a little bit. I know Justice Huni fought like twice in 2 months. That's a guy that's on signed with Turkey as well. But if that Shadasia Green and Franchon-Dezurn Crews fight comes on again, they have that fight again. I don't know if y'all seen the first fight between Shadasia Green and Franchon Crews-Dezurn, but anybody want to go look that fight up, you want to see just a straight up brawl match, that's one of the best fights ever. That probably was like fight of the year. That fight could have been fight of the year, but they wasn't gonna give that the credit it deserves, because Shadasia Green fought on the Jake Paul card, and people loved the fight. They thought the fight was good, but the other fight she had with Franchon Crews was amazing fight. Amazing. Those are the type of fights we need that you know deserves rematches. But there's so much talent in women's boxing. I don't think they should have as many rematches as they're having right now. Shadasia Green and Franchon Crews-Dezurn was a way better fight than Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. Even though those fights were amazing, not really as physical as it could be from what I've seen. Yeah, it's not as physical as it could be. But yeah, man, it's crazy. So right now, I don't know what that's gonna be the first. No, I think this is gonna be. I think UK is gonna have the first big women's fights. But I think the biggest fight, I don't know, man. If Nicholson and Tierra Brown show up in a couple of weeks, mark my words, that might be a bigger fight than most of these other fights. The only fight I can really lean towards right now that might be bigger than that is Shadasia Green and Franchon Crews. That's probably the only fight I can see right now that's possibly bigger than Tierra Brown versus Scott Nicholson. And if all Amanda Serrano had to do was go out here and fight Scott Nicholson in March, and then she could have came back in July and fought what's her name? Katie Taylor. Yeah, they could have had that. They could have made that fight happen easily. But to have women fighting like once or twice a year now, that's not gonna be a good career. Cause they're already complaining like, oh man, we're only fighting two minutes. If you're only fighting 2 minutes, you should definitely not take off 9 months to fight. No way you're a boxer, you love boxing, and you taking off 9 months. But when you getting paid extremely well like that, but I hope in the future all these women get paid extremely well. Because I'm not the one to complain about money, because I'm not the one getting paid, but I would like to see some of these other women fighters who are taking the toughest fights right now and get paid. Because there's a lot of them that are not getting the opportunity they deserve. We just seen Mia Motu go out there and have a tough fight recently. Putting it all on the line. She a good fighter too. I don't know what went wrong in the last fight, but she's still a good fighter. He said, yeah, I don't get on chat, but sometimes I listen to the Spanish channel. I've been listening to different things, but I seem to really enjoy people talk boxing. I always end up coming back. Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, that's what's up. I'm not the Spanish channel, but yeah. Hopefully what I talk about over here makes some sense. I do post every day, so you know, if people like it, they like it. Yeah, you know, I always try to keep it you know, the same way all the time. You know, boxing is very, very complicated to report these days. It's very complicated. This is like one of the hardest sports to report because you get so many different news come out a lot of times, and you know, people just, you know, it's kind of hard to put out a certain thing and then somebody else puts out some news. They're a bigger channel or bigger news outlet, but a lot of these people be wrong about certain things. That's why you got Turkey Al-Sheikh stepping in, man. It's like it always comes back to him for some reason, especially when boxing now. It always comes back to him. No matter what you think about, it's always coming back to him now. When you think about Kambosos rematching Teofimo again, most likely gonna have to go through Turkey Al-Sheikh. When you think about the fights that Apatai is getting right now, that goes back to Turkey Al-Sheikh. Scott Nicholson being the first fighter, the fight on Riyadh season as a female. You know, it comes back to him. So, and people said this was a bad thing, and I probably will talk about that, you know, a lot more sooner. But it's a good thing in my mind because, you know, yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, I actually learned a lot from you guys though, like Nectar of Gods, you Mimic. Yeah, I learned a lot from you guys though, more than people realize. I actually learned about Job Patar from the fans on here. And the fans learn about Baccarat from me. You know, most Australian fans know that I was talking a year and a half ago before they fought. So yeah, I definitely try to do my research and study. Try to call things down the line. You're definitely not gonna get every fight right. It's a lot of things that go into certain fights these days. But I definitely see the improvements though. I like, and one thing I do like about Turkey Al-Sheikh, like I said, I've seen the improvements they had with Australian boxing. I forgot the event. What was it? The Job Patai fight with David Nika. That was a good fight. Even the build up to that fight was amazing. And to have David Nika be the replacement fight a couple of weeks before it happens, they had Turkey Al-Sheikh written all over it. That definitely had Turkey Al-Sheikh written all over it. And what's crazy is I had actually started looking at the lower level fighters last year from Australia. So for Turkey to for that to be the first place that Turkey went to and was really doing like domestic fights, yeah, it's starting to work out very well. I knew that was gonna happen. I didn't know it was gonna be this deep though, because when he got Justice Huni and Job Patai, I was like, oh, maybe he's just grabbing the younger guys for, you know, Riyadh season because he doesn't have access to other people right now. But then he was like, nah, I'm just gonna push Apatai and try to give him in certain fights with Usyk and Bivol. I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it definitely makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I was actually supposed to talk about Dana White next. I'm gonna still come up with something, but yeah, I was supposed to talk about him next though. But that was some good questions you guys asked. That's crazy that you and Nectar guys was asking about Dana White early. Everything you guys asked is the same things I was thinking about, and I was gonna talk about later on. But you guys made some good points though that I thought about, like the pay and everything. But I don't think pay is gonna be an issue. What the hard part is gonna be is if you're a boxing promoter and you're not paying a guy a lot of money, and you know you're paying about the same amount as Dana White, that's gonna be crazy. But yeah, I don't think Dana White's gonna be paying out of the pocket though. Not to say Turkey Al-Sheikh is just gonna fund everything. Well, everything he's involved with, he's gonna fund, but I wouldn't say he's just there for that, but mainly he's just there for that. That's the whole reason he got into the whole thing. He was like, "Oh, all the problems with boxing right now is because of money. Okay, if I can solve that, then nobody should have an issue." Now, you know how Australia goes. I actually like how Australia moves in boxing because they're the closest thing. I just thought about this too. Australia is the closest thing you would have to um like the boxing league that Dana White is trying to do because they're already having domestic fights against certain guys already. To where you're not waiting around. When you got Nikita Zoo fighting Dylan Biggs, you already got certain things going on already. I know a lot of people don't like the pay-per-view prices right now. Maybe that will go down soon. When the fights get a little more involved. Hopefully they will go down soon for everybody. Hopefully, because man, a lot of people don't like these prices of $60 and $70. They really don't like it. Most people don't complain. It seems like it's a lot more people complaining than it is, but no, most people aren't just complaining. Like trying to see what we're investing in. It's an investment when you buy a fight. When you buy a fight, it's definitely an investment. It definitely is. But I will say I have been liking the matchups though. To be honest with you. Haven't been the biggest names, but I have liked the matchups. Because the Nika fight and Apatow fight started off the year of boxing very well. I know a lot of people didn't want to pay a lot for that fight, but that definitely started off the year of boxing in the perfect way. Had one of the hottest young boxers right now. And what Nika, another hot boxer, goes out there and takes one of the hardest fights in boxing. So a guy like Dana White seeing that, like, oh, okay, this guy David Nika goes out there, takes a big fight against Apatow immediately. Yeah, he can definitely deal with some guys like this in boxing right now. And I don't think it's too much of the boxers that have the issues with fighting each other. I think it's more so the promoters. That's why I think that Turkey Al-Sheikh is going to end up, him and Dana White, they'll end up exposing a lot of promoters and other guys because Dana White's not going to be in positions where he's going to try to protect a certain fighter. He can't even do that in UFC where he's trying to protect a certain fighter or from being in a position where he can get beat. Like this weekend, the UFC event that's coming on with Potato and the other guy. I want to say he's Russian or something. The Eastern European fighter. That's a very tough fight. You know, that's tougher than what I actually thought. I didn't actually think this fight was going to be happening like this until it's been set up recently. I'm like, this is a very tough fight. If this was boxing, this kind of fight wouldn't be happening like this right now. If this was boxing. So yeah, I can kind of see the similarities though. Yeah, but I was telling people that though, even with Tim Tszyu taking 2 losses he took recently, I've always told people, my concern is never if he's gonna win or lose. My concern was, is the guy gonna actually go out there and try to fight the best? That's the only thing I really hold as far as a standard when it comes to boxers. I just want to see if you're gonna fight the best. Especially if I'm gonna pay $80. Are you gonna fight the best at least? Because as fans, we're the ones paying for the fights. I mean, we are Turkey Al-Sheikh, really. Before Turkey Al-Sheikh came along, we was the ones that was paying for boxing, not these promoters. They'll try to make it seem like, oh, it's coming out of my pocket. No, it's not. It's not coming out of your pocket. Whether it's in Australia, London, whether it's in New York, it could be anywhere. Japan. The crowd's gonna be sold out because people love boxing. That's why it trips me out recently when they said that guys need to fix boxing. He said, let me see what you're saying. My bad, I was looking at something. He said, yeah, cause you watch them all feel more casual, but it's good to learn. No, you're not a casual. As far as I've known, I don't know everything you said in the past, but as far as I've known, you're not a casual. He said, but yeah, boxing very subjective sport. Yeah, it's very subjective. Very hard. You know, sometimes it takes years to understand stuff, so I do understand that. Yeah, he might lose a fighter. Makes sense though, yeah. These boxers should all be able to eat. I think the big sharks. Yeah, I don't like that. The big guys eating right now. Even with the women boxers. It's like, yeah, you do have a couple that's making a lot of money, but then you look at how many fights they have. You don't want to see a female boxer right now with a job. You know, I know everybody was talking about Padley, the guy Padley having a job working as an electrician. But people have to realize that guy was on a Riyadh season card recently, I want to say. And he's still working a 9 to 5. So that lets you know that everybody's not at the point where they're getting a lot of money. Yes, eggs are expensive. Yeah, if what makes you happy, yeah, you're right. But a lot of guys aren't really making money. And I would like to see, you know, I'm not in charge of finances or nothing, but I would like to see a couple of these female fighters get paid before they retire. At least try to get, 6 figures or $1 million. Because to be honest with you, the male fighters, they have been, you know, doing some tough things over the years, but I don't know if they fighting the best like that. I honestly can't say that. I can't say that. Because when I seen Scott Nicholson take her last couple of fights and basically get avoided from the Amanda Serrano fight, I knew then, I said, she's not just trying to get a paycheck. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't look like Scott Nicholson just trying to get a paycheck right now. So people like her and these other female fighters, they definitely got to get paid the right way. I know everybody else has the Netflix thing, Serrano and Katie Taylor, but they have good people around them. I think people are, you know, they're good for women's boxing, big names, but they have good promoters around them. Their promoters definitely wouldn't let them jump in the ring. See, because Tierra Brown's supposed to be a person that Serrano should have fought a long time ago. I think Tierra Brown might be older than Serrano. And she's been sitting there the whole time, just sitting there waiting on her opportunity. Never got it. Then Scott Nicholson comes along. It's her chance to get a chance at the belt against Serrano. Goes and get another fight with Katie Taylor. In my eyes, if I go out there and beat Scott Nicholson right now, that would be just as good as beating Katie Taylor right now. But if you go to 135, and that's the weight class you're gonna be at, you better stay there. Don't struggle at 135 or just have one fight and then you know, You pick and choose your opponents after that. It's not good. That's why I respect Kambosos. People make fun of Kambosos. I don't know why, because the dude always taking tough fights. No excuses. That's why I respect him though. Always takes tough fights. So right now, as far as Australian boxing, yeah, I would say they're known for taking the tough fights before a Turki Al-Sheikh is involved. That's what I like in boxing. You don't have to be the biggest name, but if you're a person who's not relying on Turki Al-Sheikh to take your career to the next level, if you got an opportunity to take a big fight and you feel like you can take it, take it. That's why a lot of big upsets happen. A lot of people thought that Raven Chapman was a better fighter than Nicholson. She slammed the door on that. People thought Kambosos was gonna lose to Teofimo Lopez, the biggest upset of the year. Jeff Horn hung in there with Pacquiao. Slammed the door on that. You got Apataya went out there and held his own against Breedis again. The toughest guy that Usyk fought in his career. A lot of people thought he was gonna stop Breedis, but that was the toughest guy that Usyk's ever been in the ring with. One of the toughest. I thought, to be honest with you, I think it was Breedis. I had pointed this out to somebody recently, but I think Breedis had actually dropped Usyk in the fight. They didn't count it. But it was like the Daniel Dubois situation. But that just shows you how tough of a fighter he was when he got in the ring with Apataya. That's why Apataya looks like when he gets in fights now, he just looks like he's just, he's a different fighter after that last fight with Breedis. That fight with Breedis was tough. If I can get one of those with Keith Thurman and Brock Jarvis, I would be so happy. If that fight can look like that, I'll be okay with that. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Another thing, too, I was supposed to look at. When is Conor Wallace fighting again? I know he just fought Papillon not too long ago. I don't think that was his last fight, though. His last fight was Waleem. Yeah, he fought Waleem in December. That was the same time that Justice Uni fought. But yeah, we need to see Conor Wallace back in the ring again. I guess he fought August, December. He's a big 174 too. 175. He's huge. He's gonna be good at that weight class though. Yeah, I would love to see a fight between him. I know they got Katiev out there. Man, I don't know. Oh yeah, Katiev fighting on the Kambosos card too. Yeah, if they can make Katiev and Wallace, I don't know if they will. And they made that a domestic fight. They probably could put together a good domestic card. Well, I think the last one they put together was good, but yeah, they got Katiev as a beast. He is a beast. But yeah, Conor Wallace is a good fighter though. He's a lot better than what I thought he was. He's a lot better. Yeah, man, the talent is definitely stacking up out there. You got Goodall. I'm still mad at Goodall got raw. I feel like Goodall should have got a better shot against F.A. Jogba. Oh, ex-rugby player Tonga Tonga. Tonga Tonga's he's actually pretty good. I just think he needs to be fighting like, how many times he fought last year? 3 times? Oh, he's fighting so Tonga's fighting on the Keith Thurman card. Let me look at his card. Oh, he's fighting on March the 12th, and he's fighting on April 26th. No, they have Zarafal coming up. They got Tapia on that card. I haven't really looked through the card. Yeah, Tapia had a rough fight the last fight, man. You know, he didn't have any excuses, but I wonder how long he was actually in America before he fought on that card. Did he really get his body adjusted to the time zone? He did fight in Florida one time, but that was a year before that. I wonder did his body really get adjusted? Because he dropped Saveda in the 5th round. A lot of people don't notice that, but Tapia actually dropped him in the 5th round. Yeah, this is actually a good card though they have. This Keith Thurman card. Yeah, this is a good card. Yeah, this is pretty good. Yeah, Tonga, he had a big what fight did I actually look at Tonga on? Was it the Max Reeves fight? It might have been when he fought Max Reeves. Yeah, I think it was the Max Reeves fight. Did he stop Max Reeves? Yeah, that was the last time Max Reeves fought. Yeah, Tonga's a beast, man. He get him a jab, it's over with. That's a rugby player that can actually go out there and mix it up very well. That dude's a stud. Yeah, I seen a few rugby players transfer to boxing, but he's the best one I've seen though. I think it's a situation where he wanted to be a boxer growing up, or he had already been dabbling with boxing or something. But yeah, I want to see Goodall come back, man. He hasn't fought since March 12th. I feel like they called that fight early against him and F.A. Ajag, but that was a horrible stoppage. I felt like that was terrible. The dude never been stopped before. You're not gonna give him a chance to fight through it. And he's only 32. What are you gonna do? What are they gonna do? Are they gonna try to put a fight together with him and Hugh? Oh, he already fought Hughie though. That's what I'm saying. Can't do that. And to be honest with you, that win over Stephen Shaw was a big win for Joseph Goodall. Yeah, Stephen Shaw he's a good fighter. And he only had one loss before that. What's crazy, and this the crazy part, F.A. Ajagba ended up going the distance with Stephen Shaw. And then Goodall comes out and stops him the next fight. And they want us to just overlook that. Yeah, I hope he gets back into action. We cannot waste the heavyweight, and he's in his prime. Maybe you could set up a fight like, what's the guy's name? Maybe Jermaine Franklin can fight. That is, they'll have to go to each other's country, whether it's Australia or. But if they do another Riyadh season card like the Apatai and Nike card, yeah, you can definitely get a guy like Joe Goodall to fight or Jermaine Franklin. But yeah, they kind of ruined that F.A. Ajagba fight. That was a terrible stoppage. That was a terrible stoppage. Yeah, it's a lot of heavyweights. Yeah, Goodall's probably good option for like a Frank Sanchez or somebody. Frank Sanchez wouldn't be a bad fight too. Unless you're trying to throw him in the ring with Tony Yoka or somebody. It seems like everybody trying to fight Tony Yoka. Yeah, it seems like everybody fights him. Yeah, they got a lot of guys fighting Tony Yoka. I can't believe Bacoli went the distance with him. I actually can, but you know, I can't, but I can. But yeah, I can't wait till this card comes out. I'm gonna actually put out some more previews for these fights coming up. I'm looking ahead at a lot of things. You know, time is moving fast right now. It doesn't feel like this Brock Jarvis and Keith Thurman fight was gonna pop up this fast. Then we can find out if him and Keith Thurman can fight next. A lot of people still want to see that fight between him and Keith Thurman. With Tim Tszyu and Keith Thurman. And I heard, you know, if everything works out, this should definitely be the fight to go to. And Keith Thurman still talking trash. He's saying he's not, Tim Tszyu's not dangerous. Hey, we're gonna have to figure it out, man. Everybody has their day. Everybody has their day. Man, Australia's gonna be jumping the next couple of weeks. Then you got Tim Tszyu. Hey, this might be the best 30 days. So the next 30 days might be the best 30 days in Australia in a long time. Because you have Tim Tszyu fighting Joey Spencer. Yeah, they could have just ran that Tapia and Saavedra fight back. It was a draw too fight. Yeah, but Saavedra, he's fighting on the Tim Tszyu Joey Spencer card. Yeah, that's gonna be good, man. This is gonna be the biggest month I've seen from Australia in a long time. Am I exaggerating when I say that? You got Keith Thurman fighting Brock Jarvis. Then you're gonna have Tim Tszyu and Yarden and Tierra Brown versus Scott Nicholson. Then after that, you're gonna have I think they got a fight on 26, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong about that, I know they have a fight on the 6th with Tim Tszyu. So yeah, it's gonna be a nice couple of weeks of boxing. When's the last time Nikita Tszyu fought? The reason I'm asking that question is for a certain reason. Had to be recently. Man, this dude ain't fought since August, man. What is going on with him? He hasn't fought since August? Last time I heard of him, they was talking about him fighting Zerify and someone else. Man, he hasn't fought since August. Oh yeah, Cohen wants he wants a rematch with Nikita Tszyu. I know they've been training with their father and trying to get some things done in Russia. I seen those guys out there training in Russia and Brock Jarvis said he's looking for a payday with Tim Zoo after the Keith Thurman fight. Hey, if he can make that work, I told you he'll be making history doing that. You go out there and beat that guy up like that. Yeah, we would definitely pay to see that. I was trying to think, is that going to be the biggest upset recently? It will be the biggest upset recently. Man, it's hard to outdo that George Kambosos and Teofimo Lopez though. I mean, people in America over here, they still upset about that fight. But I think this fight with Brock Jarvis, it can definitely lead to something bigger. They're talking about him fighting possibly Nikita Zoo down the line. A big money super fight. Yeah, that can definitely be something they can put together. Maybe win or lose. Maybe even if he does go out there and takes a loss to Keith Thurman, that'll be a good way if you're Nikita Zoo to kind of. He's gonna have to rely on activity though, because the activity is way too low for a guy at his age and the kind of people he have around him. When you have those kind of people around you, you definitely can make some big time fights happen. You definitely can, but for him to be out, it's been 7 months now. I want to say this guy just now entering his prime, or he's gonna be. Yeah, he definitely needs to get on the ball. He's 27 years old, just turned 27 recently. Yeah, he just turned 27 recently, so they need to get him active. But maybe him and his brother is training right now, focused. And with right now they're doing everything they did the last time. And I seen Nikita Zoo like eating some, I want to say like it was red meat or whatever. Just word of advice to him, bro. You're gonna have to cut out that red meat, bro. As a boxer, especially with the weight issues, that's where it probably comes from. You know, it's hard to get that weight up off of you when you're eating, red meat as a boxer. That affects guys a lot. People don't know it now, but sometimes it helps with bone density and everything else. Helping you put on protein, being able to withstand certain shots, be able to put more muscle on you. But yeah, he's gonna have to figure something out with that situation. But this is a good matchup though, him and Jarvis. The reason why I say that is Jarvis is not a guy who's too ahead of the curve. So you still look spectacular against him, but you gotta come with your A game. Cause a lot of people thought it was gonna be easy with Dylan Biggs. But I knew he had that switch where he was gonna be able to turn it over and dominate a guy like Biggs, but he almost waited too long in that fight. Yeah, that had to be the fight I'm thinking about, right? I don't think it was the Danilo fight. It was one fight he had where it took a while to get a knockout. I think it actually went the distance. Was it the Danilo fight? I think the last fight he had where it was a situation where he had to go the distance. Yeah, dude loves that red meat, man. And his name's the Butcher. Nah, you gotta stay away from that stuff. Yeah, Danilo, that fight went. Yeah, but I appreciate everybody for coming through though. I'm definitely was just trying to come out and put some information out. I might do an undercard review a couple of days. I'm gonna definitely put out some previews for certain fighters on that card. Yeah, I know KO and main event is definitely putting out some good fights though. This next 30 days in Australia is gonna be amazing. I'm glad I seen that now because I seen the fights that we have coming up. But now that I know that Australia, and I like Australia doing these fights around March, February, April. Yeah, I like these fights happening around this time. Because as later on, as the year go on, probably like in July, August, you can kind of match these guys up with some big time fights. And that's what we want to go to, that's what we want to see. That's why we want to see Brock Jarvis in the ring with Keith Thurman. This is going to be in Sydney. So this is big time. Having a big time fighter like Keith Thurman go to Sydney, Australia and fight, this is definitely big time. I think this is good for Australian boxing. Take boxing very serious over there. Very good boxing fans over there as well. Take the sport very seriously. Help push the sport a lot of ways recently too. Definitely help push the sport a lot of ways recently. So I'm definitely looking forward to everything that's gonna happen. But yeah, I appreciate everybody who came through and listened to the podcast, who liked and subscribed. Mimic and Nectar of Gods, everybody came through. Appreciate your support. Talk to you.